Hey YouTube, it's Michael and welcome back to my second video. So today I'm going to just give a quick update about where I am and what's going on with my layout. So since my last video, I have come up with a name for my layout, the Merrimack Valley Railroad. This railroad would hypothetically be, obviously, in the Merrimack Valley. So I live in Newburyport at the mouth of the Merrimack River, and I actually live on Merrimack Street. And there have been plenty of small branch lines in this area. Most of them have been gobbled up over the years by larger companies like Guilford, and then that became Pan Am. So this is going to allow me a little bit of flexibility to use older road names like Boston and Maine, Maine Central, anything that was kind of like in the area that may have been gobbled up. And within my story, I'm going to just say that the railroad budget reasons or whatever never got around to repainting their equipment. So that's going to allow me the flexibility to purchase whatever I need to purchase without having to like go crazy. And the Merrimack Valley Railroad is going to be one of those branch lines that got gobbled up. So what else has been kind of going on? Well, I have been trying to work on bench work design and track work for the layout. It has not been an easy process. I'm trying to learn about how an actual railroad may operate and what industries I can actually fit in my space. Unfortunately, I do have a limited space, so I may not get everything that my heart desires, but we'll see. So I'm going to show you kind of some of the pages that I started on paper with, the books that I was looking through, and where I am using CAD to try to get my track plan. And I hope that some of you out there will like this video and potentially even comment to give me advice on how maybe a realistic railroad may operate and what I can do in the space that I have. So here we are at my desk, and this is sort of the stuff that these are the books that I've been using for design guidance. These books are old, like 20 plus years old. But they've been helpful going through, trying to give me some yard planning, kind of how I can cross over loops and have main lines. And what I don't want is just a plain circle that goes around, but I don't want an end-to-end layout. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how I can get the most bang for my buck, have it be realistic, leave room for scenery, all that jazz. So these are the books that I've sort of been diving into. This Atlas book is a little crummy, but this plans book has been really great. Then I've had these magazines, which yes, they are also 20 years old, and I purchased these when I was 16, but they've been helpful in giving me some advice on how to create yards and fit some stuff into some smaller space, because I don't have a ton of space to do this. And then I also found this in one of the boxes, the Hobbycraft Specialist like track planning. I did take one attempt with it, but I'm a computer geek and I just need to do it on the computer. So these right here are a couple of sketches that I started with. This is basically a clone of the space downstairs, which this room is exactly above like where we would be downstairs. And as you can see over here, I've got this like bay window that does translate to downstairs, and I'll point that out. So the bay window is this like area here, and what I tried to do, because I don't know how long I'm going to live in this house, is break it up into module style pieces. So that's one. second attempt at it grew a little, and this is the one that I started to use the paper, like track planning thing. It just didn't work. And these little numbers are coordinates, because you'll see in this one. So I downloaded the Atlas track planning software and I hated it. But I used those coordinates to sort of map out where the benchwork edge was going to be. So what I was originally thinking was I wanted some sort of city and yard and like locomotive complex over here, and I needed it to go in a loop, and I wanted a double main line, and I'm trying to figure all this out. Maybe over here would be a seaport, but it's very difficult to fit in without going crazy on radius. So then here is the start of, again, the benchwork is growing a little, but it literally cannot go any bigger than this, because then I start running into mechanical equipment downstairs. Okay, so let's look at the computer and what I've done. Okay, so here we are, and now I've moved from the Atlas software to, sorry for the shakes, to the Software X TrackCAD. There seems to be a fair amount of support, and it's not too difficult to use. It's pretty good. You can set like what your minimum radius is going to be, and it won't allow in your easements, and it won't allow you to really go beyond that. So we'll just kind of cover, as you can see, the little cutout in the center has gotten a little smaller, and I've moved the yard to a different spot. I'll kind of point out what I want to do with the space. So over here, I would like to have some sort of city, lots of buildings, tall buildings, maybe some N scale in the background to give a forced depth perception, maybe some sort of like warehouse or furniture or something in here. Basically, it's a very long loop that sort of goes past itself several times. So then over here, I've got the Walthers Cornerstone diesel house and diesel filling facility. And then as we head up here, somewhere in here, I do want a river to be the Merrimack River. I want it to dump out into a seaport. What these boxes are just a couple of buildings from the Walthers catalog. So that's the Walthers Cornerstone lighthouse. That's like something on a pier, like a fireproof warehouse or something. And this is the Faller Ferris wheel. Why do I want a Ferris wheel? I was thinking if it's a seaport, maybe I could have a amusement pier and sort of get in some of the fair rides that I've always enjoyed, but not sure that there'd be really space on the layout. So since this is kind of a coastal layout, and I was like, oh, a pier would be kind of an interesting way to get that in there from a modern perspective. So then up in here, this has a higher elevation. I don't know if you can see the elevation, but this is up above, and this is where I was thinking about industry. So perhaps a lumber yard or a paper mill. I really wanted to get both a lumber mill and a lumber yard and a paper mill in here, but I just don't see that happening with everything else that I wanted to do over here. So if you guys have suggestions on what I can do, I still have this open space, but again, I need to be able to reach, and I kind of want the scene to blend together without too much like break, because I was thinking about putting a big line of trees here and a steep cliff to separate this from city area, and then the seaport would maybe turn into a wharf that all these rail lines end at. But open to suggestions, so feel free to comment on this video and provide suggestions. Would love to hear what anyone has to say, or perhaps feedback on the yard or how that might operate. So yeah, thank you for watching.